Hello, and thanks for joining the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs for our Wednesday webinar, Recovering from a Disaster. This webinar, we're going to discuss some steps that you might need to take when it comes to getting assistance, repairing your home, connecting with your insurance, and paying some bills. So hopefully we'll kind of help walk you through some of those processes and give you some information that will be helpful. I know a lot of people are still dealing with this. I have family in the upstate who still have trees on top of their homes at this moment, at least the last I talked to them. So hopefully we'll give you some information to kind of help you through this stressful time. So I kind of wanted to start here with a little bit of our important links, just places that might be very helpful for you to go to throughout this time. Kind of want to stress that SCEMD, Emergency Management Division, they're going to be the best source of information that you can follow. So their website, their social media platforms, all that stuff to address immediate needs and recovery efforts that are underway. SCEMD is going to be kind of the best place to go to get that. And you might also want to look at those official channels such as your city and county government websites as well. They'll have those kind of direct things that might be helpful to you. So I encourage you to kind of follow them on social media or go to their websites and keep an eye on that as well. The South Carolina Department of Public Health, that was part of what used to be DHEC, them and Department of Environmental Services. So those are different agencies now, they've been split up. But Public Health is going to have that information on shelters, assistance with medical needs, such as oxygen tanks, things like that. So that's a pretty helpful link for you to have. That indoor mold link on the Department of Environmental Services, that has got a great deal of information. So if mold is something that you're considering or that you're worried about right now, that link is going to have a lot of information that will go into a lot of details, got some phone numbers that you might need to call with some questions that you might have, things like that. But that's a great resource for you. And we've also got a quick link there for the disaster unemployment assistance. That's going to be information from the Department of Employment and Workforce. So they'll have all the answers for you for things like that if you need assistance, if you've lost income or don't have a way to make money right now. They will be the best resource for you to go to for that. And here's a little bit of information as well on the Hurricane Helene Cleanup Hotline. It's been set up for volunteers who might be able to assist. And again, this website and that phone number, that's going to get you in touch with volunteers. So all services are free, but they also kind of stress that service is not necessarily guaranteed, but you can go to that website or call that phone number that's listed there. And they might be able to help you with things like cleaning up trees, tarping roofs, cleaning up debris. But again, they're going to try to get you in touch with different volunteers and assistants, things like that. And again, here's some information. We're going to kind of point you to the Department of Social Services for things that would involve things like SNAP benefits. That's going to be that direct food assistance. There is a special program within FEMA to give disaster food assistance available to people. Again, if loss of income, if there's particularly costly expenses, especially in situations of a relocation or a personal injury. So they'll set up kind of a special disaster SNAP benefit for that. A lot of times it's the EBT card that they'll give you to pay for food, things like that. Again, Department of Social Services is going to be that place to go to get that. Got that link in there. So if you click that, that will take you to their website. And I know there's been a lot of posts on social media and stuff about additional SNAP benefits that may or may not be available to people who lost their power. DSS has put in requests. We've got information on their website that they put in those requests with federal authorities to be able to get that SNAP benefits directly onto those cards and get money back to people. They put in those requests. So any additional information that comes into them, they'll have it up on their website and their social media platforms. They're kind of encouraging people to follow them for that type of information. And again, just kind of watch out for that misinformation and rumors, things like that, that spread on social media. So if that's something that you're needing, go directly to the Department of Social Services website and they'll have those updates posted continuously. As soon as they get them, they'll have it up there on their website. All right, here's the information for FEMA as well. If you need to file for direct assistance through FEMA, you can go to disasterassistance.gov. They also have a phone number there, 1-800-621-3362. And they also encourage people to download the FEMA app, and you can do all those applications through that as well. We kind of won't get a whole lot into scams during this presentation, but it is kind of worth mentioning that we know these types of scams do sometimes follow disasters, where there'll be imposters who pretend to be either state or federal aid workers. So kind of the important things to keep in mind as we're going through here in the next couple of days and weeks, just know that federal and state workers aren't going to come to your home and solicit or accept money. So what these federal and state workers do, it's already, paid through the government, so you're not going to have to pay them when they come to your house or if they call you, things like that. And a lot of times they'll pretend to be FEMA, maybe the U.S. Small Business Administration if they're calling businesses, things like that. You just kind of keep in mind they're never going to charge for disaster assistance. They're not going to charge for inspections, and they're not going to charge for help completing those applications. In some cases, there are phony property inspectors who may come out around some of these areas. So just kind of keep in mind that FEMA inspectors, they're never going to ask for your social security number, and they're not going to charge you a fee to inspect your property. And again, they're never going to call and ask for your financial account information. And if you have any doubt about whether somebody who claims they're with FEMA is legitimate or not, if they're calling you, you can hang up. If they're at your home, you can also call this phone number, the FEMA helpline again, 1-800-621-3362. You can call them, let them know about the incident, and they can kind of help you figure out if that person is legitimate or not. And our kind of number one rule, not just in this time, but pretty much in general, just don't give your personal information or your financial information to somebody when you can't verify who they are. So we know kind of through these times of disasters, things like this, there'll be cases where you have to share your personal information in order to get relief benefits, loans, replacement documents, things like that. So scammers may pose to be government officials, insurance agents, financial institutions, other groups like that, and they might ask for personal information. They might, like we mentioned, try to get money. So we just kind of ask everybody to stay on guard for that. You can always ask for identification from somebody if they're claiming to be from FEMA or somebody like that, or your financial institution. Just kind of don't be afraid to hang up, and you can call those institutions directly to kind of verify that the person is who they say they are. And again, the big kind of information with that is just don't give any personal or financial information to somebody who's contacting you out of the blue. So now we'll kind of get into some information that you might need to protect your home or kind of make those repairs, things like that. The big thing is take your time. You don't want to give in to high pressure sales tactics, especially if you're dealing with repairs, contractors, things like that. It can be a pretty big expense, and you're also probably under a lot of stress right now and just trying to get things done as quickly as you can, especially if you have, like I said, I've got family members who still have trees on their roofs. So you're probably in a rush, or you're kind of tired of it being there and you're worried about it. But kind of the big thing is don't give in to those high pressure situations. And before you let somebody do work on your house, you'll want to get a written contract. You don't want to just take their word for it. You want to make sure both you and the contractor sign that contract. And if you have any questions about it, ask them right then and there. Again, you want to make sure that you understand everything before you sign that. And you never want them to start work before you've signed that contract. And again, those contracts are going to kind of give you those protections in case something goes wrong. You don't want it to be your word against theirs, so that written contract's going to give you a little bit more protection. Kind of our other big tip there is just kind of remember it's your money. You get to decide how to spend it and who you hire. So just kind of take your time. And again, don't give in to those high pressure situations. And if you have damage, hopefully you've already talked to your insurance company about it and kind of gone through some of the steps with them, but I know that can take time. So kind of the big points with that is to be sure you document everything. You want to take a lot of photos and you want to make lists of everything. So make lists of the damage and things that have happened around your house. And kind of the big tip is, you only want to make temporary repairs until you can talk to your insurance company and, see how they want you to take steps. And you also want to make sure that you're getting receipts for everything that you've purchased to make those repairs. And if you need a temporary place to stay, you also want to check with your insurance agents or those claims agents and just make sure you know everything that's covered in those policies, what they'll reimburse you for, and what you may have to pay for out of your pocket. And again, if you're dealing with those insurance companies, you also want to talk to them about any damage potential with your car. A lot of times those policies will cover that, especially if it's a comprehensive coverage. So again, you'll just want to kind of check in with your agent, determine what's covered, and kind of how to move forward from there. We've got a lot of information here, some helpful links from the Department of Insurance. They're kind of the state agency that regulates and enforces all the rules involving insurance companies. They have a 1-800 number there that can help you if you're having those times where you're not really sure how to move forward with your information with that insurance company. They also have there at the bottom on that PDF, if you downloaded it, that information to help you find your insurance company's phone numbers and stuff, so it can kind of help you get into those claims departments with those major insurance providers, so they can kind of help you get through that. They also have a little checklist that can help you in times of disaster. You can go through that and kind of see what steps you may have already taken, what you haven't. They have a lot of kind of best tips that you can follow to be able to kind of walk through that process. And again, kind of all know that it's frustrating to deal with, but they can help you with that. And that checklist would be a pretty good resource as well. And it is kind of worth noting that the Department of Insurance, they're going to offer consumer assistance and remote claim services. So they're going to have, again, major insurance carriers with them at the Home Depot. That's the one kind of right off Woodruff Road in Greenville area. They'll be there tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And again, they're going to have those major insurance companies there with them, so they can assist people kind of walking through those claims and the things that they need to do. Again, that's Thursday, October 3rd and Friday, October 4th. I know this one is in Greenville. It's my understanding from talking to them that they are planning at least another event that's going to be in a different part of the state. So just kind of encourage you to go to that website, doi.sc.gov. They'll be putting out all those additional details as they get them, but they've also got additional details about this event too. So, as we learn about all these events that are like this, we'll kind of continue to share that on our social media platforms as well and kind of help them get word out about these events. Now, if you're a renter, here's some information that may be helpful for you, especially if you have damage in your home. Hopefully by now you've already notified the landlord about any needed repairs. Kind of the big advice with that is, you can move in whenever it's possible, but you want to make sure that those repairs are a satisfactory level for you. So you want to make sure that they kind of meet the standard of being able to live back in that home. And you also want to make sure that you're continuing with your lease agreement. So you don't want to break those leases, things like that, until you've talked through the landlord and made sure everything, any steps that you might need to take have been followed. So kind of be in touch with them about that and just kind of continue to follow that rental agreement through this process. And if you need continued repairs, you're going to want to write a letter to your landlord and let them know about those. But if you're needing to get out of the lease, things like that, you'll want to request that your deposit be returned in that letter. And you'll also want to request that you'll be released from the tenant agreement if the damage is too bad to move back in. And if you cannot work out an agreement with your landlord, you may need to go to magistrate's court and request an abatement or a reduction in rent, depending on the situation. Again, just kind of keep in mind, you're legally bound to the contract until a court states otherwise. So if it's reached that level, you'll probably need to discuss it with an attorney possibly. The SC Bar has a referral service if you need to get in touch with an attorney, and also groups like South Carolina Legal Services, they may be able to help you attain an attorney if you can't afford one. So those are resources that may be available as well. And if you need to find a new place to rent, either if it's, because of something that's happened with the place you rent, or if the damage is too bad in the place that you own, you may want to take a look at some of our advice for finding a new place. If you're kind of going through all the listings for rentals and things like that, do keep in mind that there are situations where scammers create fake websites or fake rental listings where they'll hijack some of those listings that are already out there and basically put up fake places, things like that. So kind of one of the big tips of advice is you want to talk to that person and tour the property. You don't want to just sign up for a lease sight unseen. And you don't want to pay any security deposits or rents or anything like that before you've seen the property. Don't pay before you've signed a lease. And again, get everything in writing. It's important to get those promises in writing. You're going to review those contracts carefully before you hand over any money. And also, kind of one of the best pieces of advice is just kind of search online for those listings. You can search for the name of the property owner, the rental company, just kind of see what all pops up with those. It'll give you a little bit of idea if there's, a lot of complaints about them, but you also might want to put the word scams after that, put the word complaint after those rental companies, get a sense of who they are, what's going on with that property. You may also want to search for the address, things like that, and see if multiple listings come up. If you're seeing things that, kind of repeat listings with all the same descriptions over and over and over, might be kind of a sign that, scammers have hijacked that listing and putting fake deals out there on those properties. So just kind of keep that in mind, do some of those searches to see if that's the case. And we've got a lot more information on kind of rental scams on our apartments, things like that, on our website, consumer.sc.gov. We'll kind of get into a little bit of information about some tips about paying your bills. We kind of know that it might seem unimportant right now, especially in comparison of getting food or shelter or something like that, but you'll want to address those financial responsibilities so they, those fees, things like that, don't start to add up and cause you trouble down the road. If you're having trouble, kind of the big thing is just communication, right? So you want to call your creditors and ask for help. You want to ask about any programs that they have in place, and they might be able to defer loan payments. They might be able to waive fees. Some cases, it might be beneficial to raise your credit limit temporarily. So just kind of have that conversation with them so you can at least see what options are available. And one thing to consider is, if you're looking at long-term issues, you may not want to waste money on utilities you're not using. So that might be something like your cable or your internet, something like that. You can put services on hold if you're not able to stay in your home. So again, you're not paying those bills, the things that you're not currently actively using. And again, big thing is a lot of us don't want to ask for help, but that's kind of the best advice in the situation. If you need it, ask for help. You can apply for disaster assistance. Even if you don't think you'll qualify, the advice is if you're in those areas that are impacted, apply, because you can't receive a benefit if you don't apply for it. And also, if you're kind of having trouble with those bills down the road, you might want to consider a credit counselor. You'll want to make sure that they're licensed with the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. I have the link there in the PDF, so you can check our website. So on our licensee lookup, again, you click that and you'll be able to see if they are licensed with our agency. That's kind of important. And you also kind of want to look at what services they offer and if it meets your needs. And also kind of figure out what the cost for those services are as well. And we have a pretty good list of additional tips that you might want to look over, including information on your rights and information on what credit counselors cannot do. And again, that link there in the PDF is going to take you directly to that section of our website that has all those details. It's also kind of important to go through any damaged or lost legal personal documents. We've got a much larger list than what's on your screen. We've got that in that disaster recovery guide that's attached. So again, if you've downloaded that, you've got that entire list. It's also on our website. But you might need to get a hold of the county's register of deeds if you're needing those real estate documents, auto title or driver's license. You'll need to go to the DMV for that. Birth certificates are through the Department of Public Health. Again, that used to be DHEC, but now it's South Carolina Department of Public Health. Social Security cards, you would go to the Social Security Administration. And things like wills, divorce judgments, contracts, you probably need to contact your attorney that you use to set up those things directly. Or again, the South Carolina Bar might be able to help you out as well. If you click that link there, it'll take you to their information. But again, we've got a longer list in our disaster recovery guide. So if you've downloaded that, you can kind of go through that and see who you might need to get in touch with to replace some of those documents. Price gouging is an issue that we get asked about pretty frequently during times like this, right after hurricanes and disasters. It's kind of important for us to mention that those price gouging reports are investigated through the South Carolina Attorney General's office. So that is a different state agency. Again, those go through the Attorney General's office, but we'll kind of give you a little bit of information about how the state's price gouging law works. Kind of the big thing with it is only in effect during a state emergency. And it's going to cover a variety of things that goods, services that you might need after a time of emergency. And again, it's a criminal violation under the law. And the Attorney General's office will look into those claims, but they stress that it is extremely difficult to prove, even when there's a substantial price increase involved with those products. So just kind of keep in mind what might seem large to us or the general public, that may not be illegal in court. So they've got a pretty specific set of guidelines for folks. If you're needing to report a price gouging situation or something that you think is price gouging, you'll need to get this information. Again, it's going to go to the South Carolina Attorney General's office, and we've got that website there for you in the link in the PDF, but they're going to need very specific information. They need the time, place, the address, and name of the business, and they want to know the price that you paid for that service or good. And they're going to want prices nearby and get the same information. Again, the place, address, name of the business, all that other information of those nearby businesses as well, so they can compare what one place charges versus the other. And they ask for pictures that can identify the business along with the price. And again, you're going to need to provide your name and your contact information, and that will go to the South Carolina Attorney General's office, and they will handle those price gouging investigations. And as always, we have free tools to kind of help protect your information and protect you. One of the big things that might help you out in this time is checking your credit report. I know it's probably something you're not exactly interested in at the moment, but if you've lost your financial records and need help identifying creditors, that information should be available in the credit report, so it can help you in time like this. Annualcreditreport.com is the website that we recommend to use, and that's because it's authorized by federal law. There are federal laws that kind of mandate how they work. They're not going to be able to give your information away to other people, things like that. They'll give you one free credit report each week from each of the 3 major credit reporting agencies. And again, we kind of encourage everybody to review that information carefully, at least once a year. Those credit reporting agencies, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. They will give you one free each week. We recommend just kind of going through those regularly, make sure all the information in it is accurate and it actually belongs to you. But again, it can also help you kind of find some of those creditors and their contact information, things like that, if you're having trouble remembering who all you have those accounts with, things like that. But checking it will also kind of help you find signs of potential identity theft. And if you're seeing those signs, you might want to consider a fraud alert. You can place it with one call to one of the 3 major credit reporting bureaus. So if you go to their website or give them a call, you can kind of let them know what's going on, and they'll notify the other ones, and they'll put that fraud alert in place. It'll last for 1 year. Can be extended for 7 years if you see that you have been a victim of identity theft. But basically, the fraud alert is going to put in protections that alert businesses that may be viewing your credit report and your history. Just let them know that they need to take extra steps to verify your identity before they open up new accounts, create new accounts in your name, things like that. The thing that we recommend for everybody to do, put a freeze on your credit report, especially if you're not actively using credit or searching for new lines of credit. Put a freeze on your credit report, and that's going to stop other people from accessing your credit or kind of establishing new lines of credit in your name. You will have to go to each of the 3 credit reporting agencies and put that freeze in place. But again, that's going to stop those kind of new lines of credit from being open in your name. So people aren't going to be able to open up credit cards in your name or open up car loans or things like that. Any kind of thing that would involve searching through your credit report. Put a stop on those accounts and stop other people from doing that. And if you find yourself needing to open a new line of credit, like applying for a car loan, something like that, you can thaw it or lift it at any time. Again, you just go to each of those credit reporting agencies' websites, put the thaw in place, and they will have it lifted within an hour of doing that, either online or on their phone number that they have for each of those agencies. And it's just kind of, again, a good tool to use, and you can thaw it or lift it whenever you need. And then once you're ready, you can put the freeze back in place, and again, it's a free way to protect yourself. And kind of as we get moving through this time, I want to give you a quick little roadmap to help you avoid scams. Kind of the big thing is don't answer calls or respond to text messages from numbers you don't know. I know that's kind of maybe a hard one to follow right now, especially if you're getting phone calls from different insurance claims people, things like that. But just kind of keep in mind, they will leave you a voicemail. So if you have to let things go to voicemail to figure out who exactly it is, you can do that. But just kind of keep in mind, if you're getting phone calls from numbers that you don't know and they're potential scams, you can block those as they come in, and that will be a good tool to take advantage of. Kind of the big advice too is don't give personal or financial information for those requests that you didn't expect. Especially right now, if your insurance agent or somebody's calling you, they have those account numbers and all those details, so they should be able to provide you some information before you get talking into those situations with them. So you don't want to just hand over personal or financial information if you're getting those calls like that. Usually, if they're legitimate, they'll be able to verify who they are. And again, don't fall for those high pressure tactics. If they're pressuring you into making a decision or to giving over personal information, there's a pretty good chance that they're a scammer. And also kind of know those unusual forms of payment that scammers often like, gift cards, cryptocurrency, especially the cryptocurrency ATMs, wire transfers, again, emergency situations. If somebody's claiming to be federal or state, aid relief, they're not going to ask you for a payment, and they're especially not going to ask you for a gift card or cryptocurrency. So anytime, those requests for gift cards, cryptocurrency, things like that start to pop up, just kind of know that those are pretty good signs that it's a scam. And as always, kind of stop and talk to somebody you trust. If you're kind of hesitant to do something, trust your gut, right? Before you do anything, you might also want to talk to a family friend, neighbor, just somebody that you know and trust, and kind of tell them what's happened and see what they think about the situation. I know personally, I've been in a few times where I started talking to things through with family or friends and they've said, what are you doing? That, that doesn't sound right to me. So it's, especially in these stressful situations, sometimes it's just helpful to talk to somebody that you trust and kind of see what they think about it. And we'll have a lot more tips about disaster scams and just kind of these red flags in our next Wednesday webinar next week. Again, that's going to be Wednesday, October 9th, 10:30 a.m. And then the next week, we'll probably get into our cybersecurity basics. At least that's our plan right now, cybersecurity basics for Wednesday, October 16th. And again, we hadn't really talked about it, but October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So typically we do a good deal of information with that type of stuff, just kind of basic things that we can all do. So we try to do kind of simple tips that are practical. We're not going to get into, computer coding or anything like that, but it's basic things that we can all do to kind of better protect ourselves. And we do have a couple of free shred events that we plan later this month. We'll be in North Charleston on Monday, October 14th. Thursday, October 24th, we'll be here in Columbia. And then at the end of the month, the plan right now is to be in Anderson for our free shred event there. And again, we'll kind of have a little bit more information throughout the month and how things are going once we get closer to those dates. And if you don't follow us already on social media, please do so. We're on Facebook, X, YouTube is pretty important to mention right now. We put a lot of our webinars and a lot of our informational videos on YouTube. That's SCDCA TV. So follow us on YouTube. If you've missed a webinar, you can go back and watch it, or if there's some information that you want to share with somebody else, you can share those links. And we do have a lot of free information available on our website. We also do publications that we mail, and we do that for free to people. So if you would like a copy of our Ditch the Pitch, which is our scam prevention guide, we can send that over to you. We just updated that book in August with a lot of new information about different things to watch out for with the scams. We also have our identity theft prevention guide as well, and our credit report book that will kind of tell you a lot of things about what to look for in your credit reports, kind of how your credit scores are used, things like that. And again, all that information is free. You can go to consumer.sc.gov to either look at those digitally or request those publications in the mail. All right, I think we're going to wrap up now. But again, I hope everybody is doing all right. And we'd encourage you to join us next week for our Disaster Scams webinar. And we will see you then. Thank you.